Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to another episode of the Beyond Crystal Code. It is December 17th. Oh, that was my Filipino side. December 17th. That was very Filipino. I'm so sorry, y'all. The Filipino came out. I am here with my amazing amiga co host, Carla from Ascension Organite Shop. How are you, Carla?
Hello, Coco. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today.
If you want to find Carla's amazing work, once again, Ascension Organites, and she has this amazing holiday sale that's still up and running on her site, 30% off of everything. So if you want to shop till you drop, boo boo, now is the time. And if you want to offer anybody an amazing gift, ascensionorganites.com is the place to be. And before we jump into our part two show, of the universe of kids. Don't forget, everybody, to like, share, and subscribe to the Beyond Mystic Rumble channel, Jean Claude at Beyond Mystic. And if you are a YouTube lover, we got you there too, boo boo. Jean Claude Beyond Mystic 003. And I see everybody that's trickling into the comment section. Let me put everybody up here. Hello, Lena DJ. How you doing? Here we have Lindy Q17. It's snowing up in Alberta. Well, here it's kind of gray, but we're having great weather. Yeah, oddly enough. What's the weather with you, Carla?
It's warm, really warm. So don't ask. Like in Fahrenheit, we're like 80 degrees during the day. So it's hot.
Never mind. I didn't even know I asked her we know damn well she's living the life over there down south in the United States of America. So, anyways, let's hop into it. We're diving into part two of the universe of children's, and we wanted to touch base on the universe of the labeling that they're doing nowadays with kids, such as autism, ADHD, ADD, and name it all. So this show is not about judgment. We're not putting blame on nobody. This is a heart to heart conversation from two moms. And today, Carla is generously sharing her personal journey as a mama, as an amazing mama. So, we're going to have this topic for today. And yeah, so Carla, if you want to hop into the opening of this discussion.
Right. Yeah. So we wanted to touch into, because I feel like not a lot of people, I mean, it is a subject that's in a lot of people's mind, but we wanted to come in and kind of like talk a little bit more about it and kind of like maybe not a deep dive, but we'll touch space. So this is very personal for me because, as you know, I have a son with autism. So I'm going to share what my experience has been and the things that I have learned so far that have worked, that don't work, that haven't worked. And maybe if there's someone out there that is going through the same thing, or you know someone that is going through the same thing, you have a grandchild, or any kid that is special needs or going through this, then maybe you'll find a little nugget of information that could help. So this is basically why we wanted to do this. So I guess I could get started with talking about, in my case, I can be, my personal experience has been with autism, but I found that a lot of things that I researched and learned also have to do with other diagnoses, like maybe ADHD or kids that have learning disabilities. But autism in particular, it's known as the official definition is that it's a neurological condition that affects the child in different ways, mostly causes behavior issues, a lot of like delays in social skills or other types of delays like physical delays. A lot of them have issues with fine motor skills or even gross motor skills like jumping and these things like that. And you can think of autism as a spectrum. So not every child is the same. Not every kid is going to have the same characteristics or quirks, but overall, they show the same, let's say, template.
Yeah.
A lot of the behaviors that you'll see when with a kid that has autism is like behaviors like hand flapping, or they'll get very excited and they'll start jumping or screaming when it's not really appropriate to do it, but they show their emotions very, very highly and intensely. A lot of them also rock back and forth, or they will have trouble socializing with people or interacting with people. A lot of them are nonverbal, what they say. I actually don't like saying nonverbal because nonverbal implies that he can make noise. But at least with my son, he can make noise. He makes a lot of noise. But he just doesn't, he's non-speaking. So, and I'll talk to you guys about more about later on about the difference between speaking and communication and what I learned about that and how to, go through that. So that's basically it. Some of the behaviors that I've seen with him, like the rocking back and forth, or even the hand flapping, things like that, we call them stimming. So they do this usually when they're feeling overwhelmed, when there's a lot going on and they need to kind of come back to their body and regulate. So he, for example, that's another thing that a lot of autistic children show is they're very hypersensitive and
Mm-hmm.
they have sensory issues. Like I know kids that have issues with their clothing because they feel their clothing in their body and it's like it bothers them. So I've seen parents that have to buy specific type of clothing for them, or let's say loud noises bother them.
Yeah.
Crowds. So in particular for my son, I noticed when he was very little that when we would go to a family gathering, there was a lot of people, he would just kind of like go to a corner by himself, sit in a chair and start rocking quietly. So it was like his way of regulating and coming back to his his body. Because I think of it as like they're perceiving everything. Do you remember that? Have you ever seen that movie Man of Steel, where
Oh.
there's I mean, if you have seen it, there's a part where where Superman is fighting with this alien, and they need this like helmet to kind of like damper down everything, because when they don't have the helmet, all they can hear all the noises going around and police sirens and people talking, and it's like overwhelming. So I think of like autism like that, like they get overwhelmed
Mhm.
because they can perceive everything. um there's also other things that we had to work on, like they can do because of this overstimulation and this like oversensitive. A lot of them can have issues with some of them can be aggressive, or some of them can have behaviors like self-harming, like banging their head or trying to harm other people, because it's just a way of expressing that something's wrong, right? um,
Yeah.
and we've had to work on that. In particularly, my son used to self-harm. He used to bang his head all over the place when he was very little. um, so yeah, I guess I can go back and talk to you guys a little bit more about how we found out that he had autism and how he
Yeah.
was
That's one of the questions I would like to ask you. How did it,
right.
when your son got his, received his diagnosis? That's how we say it?
Mm-hmm.
Diagnosis?
Diagnosis. Yeah.
Diagnosis. How did, how did it land for you and your family?
Right. So in my case, it was a little bit my story is a little bit different, because from the moment I found out I was pregnant, it was very like I had a very troublesome pregnancy. He ended up being born really early, so he was a what they call a micro preemie. So we were in the hospital for 4 months when he was born. So I knew from the beginning that there was going to be some challenges with him, especially like I remember doctors telling me he's not going to walk, he's not going to talk, he might develop cerebral palsy. They told me, combination of consequences because he was born so early. But funny enough, when we left the hospital and he was already a fully formed baby, let's say newborn, like biologically,
Mm-hmm.
he really didn't have any medical issues after that. He's actually one of the strongest kids in the family. He barely gets sick. He has no issues that have anything to do with being a micropreemie.
Wow.
Usually what you'll see in micropreemies is that they'll, for example, have respiratory issues because their lungs are the last thing to develop. In his case, he's a great swimmer. He's never had any issues like that. Right. So I've gone back, and so what I'm trying to say is the context is I've always been around doctors when it comes to him. Like from the moment he was born, we were seeing specialist after specialist. So he was doing all the normal things that a baby would do. Like he started walking at 1 year old. He, all these things, but speech never came. Right. So when he was around 3 years old, I had a conversation with one of the neurologists, and she was saying, like, you should just give him the diagnosis, because if you do, then a whole world opens up for your therapies and all your things that you can do. So we were like, okay, it's one more label that we had after the micropreemie and the delays and all of that. So we were okay with it. But that actually opened up my mind, because once I understood, okay, maybe there is an issue here. Maybe there is some type of autism here. I started to kind of like ask why and ask around and research things. And it takes me to a place where a lot of parents I know go through this. It's a little bit of a feeling of powerlessness. Like you feel powerless because you go to the doctor and they'll say, okay, your son is diagnosed with autism. And then your question is like, okay, now what?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the answer is, well, there's really nothing you can do. This is a genetic condition. There's nothing, we don't have enough information. So might as well just do therapy and resign yourself. This is your life. You have a special needs child, and that's all you can do. And I remember thinking, there's no way. There's got to be something else I can do. What do you mean I can't do anything? So yeah, we started him on therapy, obviously.
Yeah.
But it just got me thinking. And when he was around 3 years old, we found a homeopathic doctor. So if you guys don't know, homeopathy is basically a natural remedy. And I knew about it because my grandmother has been using homeopathy on us since I was a baby as well. So I started working with the homeopathic doctor to kind of look into his emotional behaviors and his aggressive behaviors, because he would have these anger episodes where we could not control him, and they would last for hours, and it was crazy. And I didn't know exactly what to do, so I could just like hold him while he was trying to bang his head. So working with her,
But what pushed you to go find a homeopath? How do you say it?
Homeopathic doctor.
Homeopathic. Yeah.
Well, it's the question of like, there's got to be something else that I can do. Actually, you're right. I am skipping a step, because the first step was, and this was around when he was 3 years old. I started looking into more of the spiritual side, right? So I started like looking into people that could help me on the spiritual side. I started learning how to channel, so I could like talk to his higher self and like understand why this is happening.
Wow.
What can I do to help you? And then through those sessions and doing the channeling, I understood that he absolutely 100% chose to come this way. And it was part of our soul contract to go through this, right? And he also always told me, I'm okay. Just keep doing what you're doing. Everything's okay. So I could have this communication with him while I was also struggling with, like the physical side of him having these anger issues. So that's when prompted me to say, okay, I understand the spiritual side, the energetic side. What about now dealing with what's actually happening? So this is when we found the homeopathic doctor and we started working with her. And I did notice a change in his behavior, like a lot of the aggressive or the anger subsided a lot. I want to say that from a 10, they went back down to like a 5. So it was like half better. And it was great. We stayed with them for well, until up until now. Sometimes I see them every once in a while to kind of like do some maintenance here and there, but I always felt like I needed to go deeper to try and see what else I could do. And I have a crazy story because I wasn't looking for it. It was actually tapping into this feeling of powerless, like I can't do anything, right? One day I go to an appointment, nothing to do with my son. It was something for myself. And I met this lady that was doing the appointment with me. And she also didn't know me or my son or anything. And we were talking about, I do have kids. Yeah, I have a child with autism, blah, blah, blah. So I see her the next day or the next time the appointment, and she comes to me and she goes, "Wait a second." She leaves the room, comes back with a book, and she says, "I went to a conference 2 years ago. This is this is 2020, at the end of 2023." And she
Okay.
goes, "I went to a conference 2 years ago and I met this lady. I bought her book, but I don't know anybody that has autism. I have no idea. I have no idea how to use this book, but something is telling me to give it to you." And I was like, "Wait, are you sure?"
She bought that book randomly.
Randomly, she said that she felt like the lady was so nice giving the conference. So she
Got it.
bought the book, gave it to me, and she was like, "I feel like you need to have this." And I was like, "Okay, oh my God, thank you."
Wow.
And I'm not kidding you. I got home. I read that book. It wasn't a long book, but I read it in like a couple hours and I cried my heart out. It was incredible because her story was so similar to mine. And this is how I found the world of biomedical, like the biomedical field that they called, or like I want to say a holistic doctor or naturopathic doctor, that they have the regular allopathic medicine, but they also look at the whole of the person. So it's not just give you a pill for the symptoms. They look at everything that's going on in your life, your sleep patterns, your diet, the way you basically everything. They gave me a questionnaire that was pages and pages long, and I had to degloss his entire life. So I found this naturopathic doctor,
And
and
that doctor is an expert with autism.
yes,
Okay.
so they, and actually when I found her 2 years ago, it wasn't that common to. They are called biomedical doctors now. And back then, I remember doing a search for biomedical doctor. It's like nothing showed up. But now, little by little, people are understanding more what autism is. So they're popping up here and there. So I have something so stupid, you guys. Like I have a few, something little. I have a few stories to tell you because it's crazy the stuff that we've seen in the last 2 years,
Mhm.
right? um I remember the first thing she said was, "Okay, let's look at her diet, his diet. What does he like to eat? What does he eat every day?" And I would say, back then he was obsessed, but I'm telling you, like obsessed with bananas. Like he loved bananas. He could eat bananas all day. And sometimes he would come home from school and have like 5 or 6 bananas. And in my mind, I'm thinking,
Well,
bananas are not that
yeah,
bad, right?
go on. Eat it.
Right.
Yeah, I
I'd
totally.
rather bananas than candy or anything else. It turns out that we did some tests and he had a candida infection in his gut. And candida is fed by sugar, and bananas are sugar.
Yeah, high in sugar.
So he had developed a fixation with bananas because it was feeding the candida infection in his gut. So once we started tackling that with diet, and what I mean by diet, I mean very, very strict, like no gluten, no sugar, no dairy, no basically, actually she actually took out vegetables, so he could only have one vegetable, which was sweet potatoes. The rest was because the way that they, I guess I'll explain a little bit about what the theory is. The theory is that autism is caused by inflammation or toxins in the brain. So it's brain damage. But they were also noticing that, and there's a ton of reasons why you could say that this happens: vaccines, toxins in the food, toxins in our daily life. These kids are more susceptible with these things because we already as parents have toxicity in our body.
Yeah.
So we pass that on to them. And when they receive the vaccine, so they are exposed themselves, the effects are like triple or double, right? So the whole idea is that there's this inflammation in the brain or this toxicity in the brain, and then they started to notice that a lot of these children were having food aversions and gut health issues like constipation,
Mhm.
or they become fixated on a food because their palate is not developed, or it's almost like their palate doesn't work the way that yours and I work. Like we can taste the food, they can't. So to them, all of it tastes the same. So that's why they will get fixated on different kinds of food. So the premise was, okay, if we start working on the gut health, maybe we can start working on fixing whatever is happening in their brain. So the number one thing we did is put him on a diet and took out all the gluten, took out all the sugar, took out all the dairy, all of it. So he was basically eating protein and the sweet potato. And she actually allowed me to use, because he was at that time, he was fixated with pasta. So she allowed me to use gluten-free pasta, but I had to buy like the organic and all of that stuff.
Oh, yeah, the top tier pasta.
Right. But I'm not kidding you, within like, oh, and also supplements like minerals that we're all deficient in. So minerals, magnesium, probiotics to help his stomach and his digestive system, digestive
How
enzymes.
would you give that to him?
Um,
As pills or
that's Yes, that's a good
no,
question, because I remember her telling me you have to give him all the supplements. I'm like,
how?
my
How?
kid doesn't take pills. Are you kidding me? Like, if I come up to him with a pill, he's gonna like, no way. So she gave me the idea. She says, did he like applesauce when he was a baby? And I was like, yeah, but not anymore. So she would go, no, just open the capsule, mix it up with a little applesauce, and just give it to him. And that's what we started doing.
Okay.
And he's funny because he rejects, like, if he notices that you're trying to get him to do something, that
Ooh.
kid is like, I don't know, it's like a sixth, seventh, eighth sense that he has. He will automatically be like, nope, I'm not getting nowhere near that. But for some reason, I came in with the applesauce.
Shake.
He was like, yeah. He was like smelling it, like, what is this? But
Really?
yes, and I got him to do it. He was already like he was 6 years old, or yeah, he was around 6 years old. So I got him to do it for some reason. And so and it's not, I'm not like telling you guys to think so that you guys can think, oh, it's so easy. No, it's difficult, and it was a journey, and we like one step forward, two steps forward, one step back kind of thing, where you change something and then something else will come in. But we pretty much stayed consistent and started like with the diet, with the supplements, and within I want to say the first month, he was already a different kid. Like, he was much more calmer, much more less defiant. He actually, we had, this is another thing that also happens with a lot of autistic kids, is they have a hard time with potty training, because potty training is a sensory process, right? So going to the bathroom and sitting in a toilet for them is kind of scary and it's weird.
Mm.
But I'm not kidding you. We started, it was funny, and I always tell this story because we couldn't believe it. We were sitting in the living room all together, like after dinner, watching TV. He was doing something, playing. He had a diaper on, and all of a sudden he just gets up, goes to the bathroom, pulls down his diaper, pees, goes to the room, takes out an underwear, comes back to me and says, here, change me. Like, he gives me the signal, change me. And me and my husband just kind of like looked at each other like, what? We were like, oh,
No.
because we have tried. Trust me, we tried since he was like 3 to get him potty trained, and this kid would like scream and act like we were murdering him to go to the toilet.
I can imagine.
Yes, this day, just on his own, he was like, no,
I'm
here's
done.
the underwear, change me. That, since that day, Coco, that was It's going to be 2 years, no accidents, nothing. He just dropped the diaper.
Wow.
And we started seeing these things, right? So we started seeing like he was understanding a little bit more. And then going back to the difference between communication and speak, I remember the speech therapist would say, don't get so hung up on the words, because the words come later. It's like a bonus or like a consequence. Focus on communication. Does he understand what you're saying? Can he understand when you ask him something, right? And when we started the process, he couldn't even follow a one-step direction. I would tell him, go get the ball, and he would just turn around and go the other way. Like he's also a little defiant, so I don't know if the personality, because he's, yeah, but but the communication, just like the communication started coming, like the understanding. We started to notice that we would be having conversations, me and dad, or conversations with the family, like, I don't know, for example, the whole family's here and we're talking about a tomato, right? How we cook tomatoes, and he will go to the fridge and open the fridge and grab a tomato and bring it to us, like,
Oh,
and understand that you guys are talking about this, right? So, or he would do things that we
wait,
didn't know.
I remember this is when you told me this story. This is when I said, okay, I freaking love your son because he really understands. Remember when you guys left for was it for the conference, and then you came back and he was not having it.
Oh yeah,
Haven't seen you for a couple of days and he gave you
he
an
was upset. He was really upset. And
Mhm,
funny that you mentioned that, because that we explained to him that we were leaving for the conference,
mhm.
and we have a place in the house where we put the luggage when we're not using it. The other day, I think I had something to do. I don't remember what I had to do. I just had to be out of the house, and it just so happened that my husband was too, so he was left with the grandparent. And the first thing he did when we both left, he went to go check if the luggages were there.
Wow.
So then
Wow.
when he saw that the luggages were there, he went to his grandfather and he was he has a word for picture. So he was saying, I want a picture of my mom and my dad. Like, he wanted us to take a picture of where we were. So he was texting me, like, you need to take a picture of where you are so he can see. So I took a picture of myself, sent it to him, and he understood that I was, I don't know, doing my hair. I don't know. It was an appointment. So he has these things, like, he understands everything,
Thing.
everything you say. Just because he doesn't express it in the way that you would think or say it with words, doesn't mean that he's not paying attention. And that's gonna take me, like, also a little bit further on, where we'll talk about the energetic reason for this happening. But yeah, overall, like, after we started doing this, and it has been a journey, we've noticed such an improvement in his communication, in his overall behavior. He's a much better, like, it's easier to deal with him now. And also, we, as parents, we had to kind of change the way we did everything, because we have an older son, and it's not the same parenting him than parenting my other son. um, and one things that I had to learn, especially dealing with, like, his moments of anger, or his moments of his tantrums, what they call meltdowns, when they get really overwhelmed, or they're trying to say something and it doesn't come out right, he will get really upset. He gets really upset still, and it causes a meltdown. And it's like,
Oh,
imagine a tantrum, but multiplied by 10. The one thing I had to learn is to remove my feelings from the situation,
okay.
and kind of understand why it was happening, and say, okay, this is not about me. It's not about how I feel right now. Obviously, I was anxious, or I was upset that he was like that, or whatever. But I would just remove my feelings from the situation, and just focusing on what could I do to help him. And a lot of because we changed that, because a lot of the times we would be like, oh my god, not again, like, come on, don't get upset about that, or like, really, I'm not, you're gonna get upset again, like kind of like that, or you
Mhm.
would start, like, saying, no, don't get upset right now, you're gonna go to your room. That does not work. If you go, I found that if I would get, like, how would I say this? Um, Not firm, but like angry with him. If he could see that I was angry at him, it would be worse. He would actually match my anger and actually scream louder than if I was raising my voice, right?
But what
So
you're saying, that's like applicable for every single kid, you know what I mean? Like
yes,
saying, I'm like, I see myself doing that with my child and seeing the same kind of reaction towards me when I give her that kind of energy.
yeah, because I think kids nowadays they don't respond to those things. Like if you come to them angry, they'll shut down or
Exactly.
they'll match your energy, right?
Mhm.
You don't want that. So what we do is we keep calm, and I found several ways to help him. We'll redirect him. So a lot of the times and I think this is maybe his autistic mind,
Mhm.
where he'll have a toy, for example, and I don't know, maybe he wants the toy to move a certain way, or he wants the toy to move a certain or to do a certain noise, and that's not possible, right? It's not physically possible. So he will get frustrated and start crying or screaming, and I would just like grab him and like redirect him. So I would tell him a joke because he finds a lot of things funny. So I would just like get like talk to him with the funny things that he's always laughing at, or bring him another toy and sit down on the floor to talk to him, or play with him. My husband, he's just a strong guy, so he would grab him and kind of like, like do compressions on him or hug him, and kind of like hug him and kind of like press him a little bit, and you could see already him like, okay, like I'm still upset, but okay, whatever you guys are doing is working.
Oh,
And
wow.
he has,
Well,
he has
when you guys were working towards that type of communication with him, did you get any pushback from him? Because clearly, I guess he would see the change and the shift of routine or the way that you guys would communicate with him. Did you get any pushback, or it just felt good for him?
It's actually a good question because yeah, we did get pushback, and at the beginning I had to kind of, because like what I said is his personality is very defiant, but also because he's setting his ways and we have to kind of get him out of it. But um I learned to do, because sometimes, for example, he didn't want to do the applesauce with the supplements, or that day he didn't feel like, I don't know, like eating the pasta, he wanted something else, but I
Mhm.
didn't want him to eat that something else because I don't know, it wasn't in the diet.
Yeah.
So I learned to negotiate, and I learned a good tip that the one of the doctors gave me is use, and also with smaller kids this would be a great tactic, is use the first then. So I would say him, okay, I know you want to go play, or I know you're doing this and I'm coming to bother you, but first we're gonna have the applesauce, and then you can do something else. So first I'm asking something of you, then I'm gonna give you what you want within reason.
Mhm.
And he's funny because he caught it automatically. So now he knows, like for a little bit he was, after the bananas, for a little bit he was fixated with popcorn, and I was like, I cannot let you eat popcorn for every meal, like it's not gonna be like that. So he would tell me, I would say, first your food, then you can have popcorn. So he would come to me and he would go the signal for food, and he
Yeah.
would say, first my food, then popcorn. And I was like, yes. So he would repeat it, like, in his way, because he knows how to do gestures.
Yeah.
And he likes that because it's like, okay, I'm giving you something, but you promised me that I'm
Better
gonna
pay me back, mom. Ooh,
right.
look at your son negotiating. Wow.
That's actually one of the first words that he started to say was popcorn.
No
He would
way.
come up to us and say popcorn. Like, you said popcorn, and he's like, popcorn. So he would do the gesture for food, and then he would say popcorn. But all these things started happening after the this
The
whole thing
change
that
of
we all went.
diet, the change of
And now the crazy thing is that he's trying so hard, and there's these little, he hears us speak, and he'll imitate our words, and he'll try to say the words. And it's so cute because he's 8 now, and he's like talking like a toddler would talk, but he's like saying all these things, and he'll say popcorn. The other day, we were with my family, and he went up to my sister-in-law, which is his aunt, and he said her name clearly, and then said park, like, you take me to the park. And my my sister-in-law started, like, she got so emotional because she said this is the first time that he's actually like looking into my eyes and kind of addressing me.
Yeah.
So I guess that takes me to like talking about like the support system, because yes, we can do all these things, and there's so many things that you guys can do to help these kids and to make them, like, to help them feel better, and it does work, because we all should be doing that anyway. We all should be trying to live a life like eating better and eating cleaner. I also had to go and revamp the whole way I was doing everything for him. So his detergent, the stuff that he was using for his shampoo, his soap, all of the stuff that was around him, I had to make sure there were nothing toxic, everything natural.
Yeah.
So actually, a lean soap would be a great, because they're completely natural, made with essential oils, and those don't damage them. Actually, essential oils are pretty good. So I had to do all of that, and it's crazy. And I actually started seeing a lot of resistance at the beginning, especially for in his school, and the people, not my family members necessarily, but the people around us. I remember one time I was at a school meeting, and we were talking about the teacher asked me, and I said, he's gluten-free, sugar-free, so please do not offer anything like that.
Yeah.
And she was saying, well, but he's gonna miss out on the birthdays, and how are we gonna, I feel so bad for him, he's gonna miss out. And I told her, first of all, he doesn't care, right? Second of all, you need to respect what I'm asking you to do. And third of all, I'll bring him something. If you're having a birthday party and you want him to participate, I'll bring him something. I'll bring him a sugar-free cookie or a gluten-free cookie, and he can still participate. And then the other moms were kind of making fun of me, like, oh, that's gotta be really difficult. Why is he gluten-free? And I was like, I didn't want to explain it. But then what happened, fast forward a year, everybody in the school started to notice the change, and they were like, oh my God, he's so much more calmer, he's doing so much better, what are you doing different? So that was my cue to be like, in that, yeah, you know what,
Why?
this is all the stuff that we've been doing, this is why he's gluten-free, this is why he's sugar-free, this is why he's all of this. And I'm lucky enough that I have, like, our extended family understood completely, and they help us so much, and like they make so much effort to be in his life and to be around him, because the thing with autistic kids is that they are not very socially adept. So but they can be social. It's not true that I remember one time I heard somebody say that autistic kids are not empathic, or they can't have feelings or something like that, and I'm like, that is absolutely not true. If my son sees another kid cry, he'll run to see what's happening, and he gets really concerned if he sees someone else cry, but one thing is that we had to learn is kind of like, well, if the family members in general, like aunts and uncles and grandparents, if you don't go up to him and make the effort to be with him and to interact with him, he's not going to do it on his own. So our family understood that, and they started to be more present, and actually going up to him and telling him something, or sitting down on the floor and playing with him a little bit. He started to develop these relationships with them. So now every weekend he's asking for grandparents to come here because he wants to see them. And that's not something that would have happened if they hadn't had, put in the effort to kind of like make a relationship with him, because you get it. They say, well, he doesn't talk, so what am I supposed to do? And I always said, I know it's hard to connect, but try. All you have to do is just like go up to him, tell him something, comment on the toy he has or whatever. And he responds that. And he's actually like, now he's super close to his grandparents and his aunt and uncles and the cousins too. All the kids around understood that, well, he's a little bit different. He doesn't talk, we have this cousin, he's a little bit different, but he's so smart. So they try to include him in the games, and they try to like make him part. And we're so lucky because of that, because a lot of these kids end up getting isolated because they don't know how to socialize. And sorry, I
I
hope I'm
wanted
not
to ask
missing
you
you.
this question because we're talking about school. I saw in the comments as well here from Lindy. She was asking, "How old is your son now?" And you said he's 8 now.
Yeah, he's 8.
I wanted to hop into this question about school because my daughter does speech therapy, and I'm always confronted with this school system. Like we're in this woo community. We know what's up. So when I'm confronted by these teachers and like, okay, yeah, but X, Y, and Z at school's not working for your daughter, and da, 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 I'm like, well, you guys know the the difficulty she has with her speech, and now you're trying to push down her throat to follow the lead of this regular schmegular school system that we know damn well is just simply to brainwash them to start working from 8 to 5 and go, 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 and be a slave to the system. So, how are you confronted to that? Because I do remember we had once we were backstage or we were at a meeting, just you and you had a meeting with the teachers, whatever. And we were like, both of us were like, what the F? Like, come on. Stop
Yeah,
giving me, like, stop showing me these reports of like this, and that. How about just like come in with the good stuff? Because you know damn well we are these kind of parents that we work 1,000% for our kids.
right.
And like she knows, the teacher of my daughter knows. Like she even misses like every Wednesday, she misses, or every Tuesday she misses the morning class because she goes to speech therapy, like private speech therapy, because here like nothing is paid here in Quebec. So you know that we put in the effort. Don't come to me and saying, yeah, your daughter doesn't put up her hand really often in class. She's very timid. And
Yeah,
does
it's
she
like,
bother anybody? Does she does her things? Does she listen? Does she does her homework? Yeah. So who cares if she doesn't raise her hand and like
right.
be chatty and start saying, "Well, this weekend I did this, this, and this." So how do you deal with that?
Well, it's funny that you say that because all of the my friends that have kids, my family, my nephews, we've all gone through that. It's the teachers kind of want to fit them in, not teachers in particular, because I love teachers and they do such a
No,
good work.
no.
But some of them, they just want to fit them into a box, and it's almost like they want everybody to be the same, and everybody wants they want all the kids to follow the same, and we're human beings, not one adult follows the same, you know.
When you think about it in the working corporate world, everybody's different.
Correct. So
So
kids are
if
no different.
exactly, and that's why they do evaluations at work. Clearly, so if you're with your boss and he has like 20 employees, every single employee is different. So why
Exactly.
are you trying to categorize my child to be the same as all of the other kids? Sorry, but continue.
That's where I think, well, in my case, we tried public school, and public school was a nightmare because, yeah, nowadays they have programs for special needs children, but it was actually, I remember the teacher saying, well, but he doesn't participate. And I was like, yeah, of course he's not. You're going to have to make him participate, you know? He's not going to even understand that he has to participate. I remember going to they invited the parents for a Mother's Day event or something. We had to go, and I found him sitting in a corner by himself. And it was like so heartbreaking. And then I got home and I was like, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. We're not gonna do this anymore. So I was actually lucky enough to find a very, very small school that is very like special needs, very niche, and they work with him, and
Amazing.
the teachers are amazing. But I've also had some issue. I want to say the school is important, but the teacher is more important. Because that teacher that I was saying, when I was talking to her about the gluten free and the sugar free, and her response was like, but he's gonna be left out. I was like, I
So
mean,
what? I saw like in the comment section somebody said, "Well, if he was allergic to peanuts, everybody would respect it."
correct, right, correct. But the thing is, it's not an allergy. So, well, actually, I had to start saying it was an allergy. And I was telling her, you know what? I'm sorry. What, you don't want him to go to the hospital because he's having gluten, right? So, but I remember, and I remember every here in the U.S. we have to do a yearly meeting where they go over your kids' progress and what the goals for next year and stuff like that. And I remember sitting at these meetings and just like being completely like defeated because it was like 1 whole hour of just telling me all the stuff that he's not doing and all the stuff that he lacks and all the stuff that he doesn't do. And well, we're setting these goals, but we don't. And I was like, I remember like after, I think this was last year, then when we moved to the school, it's a little bit different. So this year we had a different teacher, and the meeting was completely different. The meeting was like, yeah, we understand he has things to work on, but look at all this stuff that he's doing now. He's doing math, and he's adding and he's subtracting, and yeah, maybe sometimes we need to redirect him a little bit, and sometimes he needs to be outside for 10 minutes because the workload is too difficult, and it's okay. We'll take him outside to do it. Then he comes back and finishes. Like, but they're also willing to do this. There's some
Yeah.
teachers that are willing to make those accommodations for them, and it's such a difference. But I know what it feels like to sit there and just listen to all the stuff that that he's doing wrong. I got that a lot in therapy. Every once in a while, therapies do evaluation, or I remember having to go to different psychologists to do psychological evaluations that insurance companies ask for to justify the diagnosis, to justify what they're paying for, and sitting there with my husband for like 2 hours, and they're explaining how terrible everything is, and you're like, I learned to kind of like take that with a grain of salt, and I said, at the end of the day, you don't know my son, I know my son, and you can expect a person like he just met you. He's not going to have the confidence to be open with you and kind of play with you.
Yeah.
Because he just met you, he doesn't know who you are, so he's gonna be a little bit, he's a little bit wary of strangers in a good way. And it's like, it's totally understandable that he didn't do any of these things that you're asking him to do, because they're not, he's not going to. So I guess you have to be their best advocate and speak up when you can, and kind of like bring these issues front. I remember even saying like, when once I had more information, I was saying, I'm gonna go speak to the principal of the school and tell her that maybe she should consider having a class on nutrition. Because if you have special needs school, you cannot be offering pizza to these kids, or like candy and cupcakes and stuff like that every day. So maybe it would be a good thing for them to kind of like, maybe have other offerings, or teach the parents about this stuff, because nobody teaches you about this stuff. I remember going to the pediatrician, and none of them would ask me if he was sleeping well or if he was eating well. They would just, oh, he's autistic. Oh, okay, continue therapy. And I would say, is there anything else that I could be doing? No, therapy. That's it.
Oh,
and
God.
what about he's waking up at 3 a.m? Oh, that's normal. All the kids go through that. And it turned out it was a liver issue that
Oh
he
my
was
gosh.
having.
Wow.
So it's these little things that you have to kind of like, we moms, we know our kids, and we know when something's not okay. So we have to speak up. And if we're not getting the answers here, I'm gonna go somewhere else to find that answer. But yeah, it's been really difficult.
But this question, I wanted to ask you that many parents feel that their children on the spectrum are deeply intuitive, very sensitive to energy. So, how do you work with these intuitive moments with your son? The type of energy that you feel that goes between you and him, or with the
Right.
father, or with the grandparents, and how did it change your perception of life? Because for sure it totally changed your perception of life.
Absolutely. So I'll go back and say, like, we'll talk about like the energetic reason, because all of this has a reason. And in communicating with his higher self, and like learning all this experience, I know for a fact that he chose to come this way. So yes, it happened to him, and I consider that this was done to him in a way where, I think his body is going through some sort of damage or inflammation that we're working on. But there's also a reason for it. And I think the main reason is, one, to teach us to do things different, to break us out of the mold. Absolutely nothing that has been related to him has been the normal.
Mm-hmm.
Everything has been different. We have had to kind of like shift our mentality with every single aspect of his life, from the how we deal with the doctors to school to all of it. The other part is also to keep himself shielded, because if you think about it, he's not susceptible to the indoctrination. He cannot be part of the programming because he lives in a present moment all the time. And whenever people try to tell him or to make him do something, he automatically rejects it. So it's funny, like we went to a farm, and then they had a Santa there, and then the Santa was like signaling, "Oh, come here and have a seat, and come sit with me and take a picture." And he looked at Santa. He's like, "No." I was
Amazing.
like, "Just stand there and take a picture. You don't have to sit on. I think sitting. Well, you don't have to sit on Santa. Just take a picture." He was like, "No, bye bye, Santa."
Wow.
But
That is
he's
amazing.
highly intuitive,
Mhm.
highly. I've experienced a lot of telepathic moments where I feel like we have a telepathy going on, because a lot of the things that he's thinking, it just pop into my head, and because I practice channeling all the time, sometimes he'll be upset about something, and instead of reacting and get up and upset, I'll just sit down and I'll be like, in my head I'm saying, "Okay, just tell me what's going on," and I'll hear the word, and then I'm like, "Okay, this is what it is." He's looking for the toy that he was using last week, and my husband's like, "How did you do that?" I'm like, we have this communication. He's telling me, like, it's telepathy. And I really, really think that sometimes I'm kidding you. I'm not kidding you guys. I feel like he has. I was telling my husband, like, I feel like he could read minds, because we got him a Christmas gift that he loves. He's like obsessed with teddy bears and stuff, and we got him a Christmas gift, and it hasn't even come here. It hasn't arrived. We don't have it.
Yeah.
And this morning, he was looking through pictures and he saw it in a picture, and he signaled it and said, like, his name. And he was like signaling the gift, like the toy, and like saying his name. And I'm like, how the hell does he know? Like, we're not. So we've had these moments that are crazy. One time I remember I had this session. I was at the beginning with Sherry, and she was like channeling his higher self, and the therapist calls me from school, and she goes, "He just fell asleep." Like, we were playing and he just came to where I was and kind of like cuddled in my lap and fell asleep.
No.
And I was like, that was the exact moment where we were channeling him, when we
Oh my
were.
gosh.
And she was like, was he tired? Did he not sleep? I said, no, he was perfect. He slept all night. He was energetic. But it's almost like, oh, somebody's calling me.
Yeah. It's like, I need to check out because somebody wants to chat. So talk to you later. And
Yeah.
then, wow, that is amazing. Let me communicate with that person that's knocking on my door. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That is
They also I
amazing.
also heard there was this. I actually heard this, and it makes a lot of sense. They have a lot of gifts. These kids are very talented. And if you think about it, is if there's damage in the brain early on, the brain tries to compensate, and as they're growing, the brain is going to grow around the damage.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of areas that light up for them that maybe doesn't don't light up for us. This is why you have them. They can be savants, and they can be like mathematical geniuses, or they follow processes, or some of them like music so much that they become like super talented in music. For my son is taking things apart. So when he was like 2 years old, he could grab a toy, and he would show us like the screw, and we would like open up the toy, and he would look at the electronic parts of the toy, and he would know what cable connected to what. And to this day, he is like, he knows how to take things apart. He knows, he tells us how to. He doesn't have the dexterity, so but
Mm.
he'll give us directions to put it back together. And he knows that, if he sees a toy that moves, he knows that it's not the toy that moves. It has a mechanical thing inside it, so he knows what to do with it, and he knows how to open it. So they all have these amazing talents and gifts that you couldn't even imagine. And I think it also, there's an energetic side to it where they're highly intuitive, but there's also the physical side of it. Like, their brain doesn't work like ours, and they're just wired to see life completely differently. And it kind of forces us and all the people that are around them to understand that, and to also see life the way that they do, to try to, relate to them.
I
And
have
I think it's incredible.
from Lena. Lena DJ,
Mhm.
have you taken him to a music store to see if he takes to any instrument?
I haven't had to take him to a music store because my father-in-law and my husband have instruments, and he loves music. He loves them. He loves
Oh,
listening to music. It's actually one of the things we use to calm him down, to regulate, is we'll put on music.
sick.
But yeah, he'll go and he'll get right next to the guitar and he'll like strum it and stuff. But I don't think he's like musically gifted. I think he's more. I feel like he has an engineering mind. Like he just knows how things work and
Yeah.
how to like build something or take it apart.
And
Um,
does he gravitate to crystals? Or do you have any suggestions to
yes.
work with crystals?
So from very early on, his room has been surrounded by. Remember one time I told you he's one of the only kids that I know that has never had a nightmare. He doesn't wake up upset at night.
Yeah.
Nothing. It's because he used to have a shelf over his bed, and I would put like a crystal grid up there and like pyramids and organites and stuff. So always the protection pyramid that has the shungite here, he always had that in his room for a very long time. So anything that had to do with like shungite, I will put in his room next to him.
Yeah.
Then
Oh,
he
wow.
has the first pyramid I ever made, which was this is like
Aw.
it. But the only reason why he has it is because it has rose quartz, and
Postcards is
rose
like,
quartz is very soothing. So this is also next to him while he's sleeping. And then for a very long time, I also did like a crystal grid with clear quartz and selenite above his head.
hmm.
And later when he was a little bit older, that he wasn't in the crib anymore, he had a regular bed, I put a salt lamp like this
Hmm.
next to it. Or sometimes if I didn't want to do the salt lamp, I did the selenite lamp. So, and because I also remember that he was very as a baby, he was very sensitive to electronics around his room. So I took everything out of his room. There was no electronics in his room, no
Hmm.
TV, no speaker, no nothing. I did have a camera because at the beginning he had medical issues. So I had to keep an eye on him at the beginning when he was a baby. But I would use the pyramids and put them next to the camera or the electronic to like counteract. And he loves them. He knows that they're there. He knows that what they're for, because he's a kid. He would try to touch them every once in a while, and it's okay. And I would tell him, no, this is there for you to help you with sleep, or to keep you shielded from the electronics, to make you feel better. And he would understand and just like
Leave
leave
it
it. But definitely I clear quartz, rose quartz, and the selenite, and also the salt lamp, because the salt lamp helps with the ionizing the space around them. So it'll kind of like, I don't know if you ever like felt like sometimes the there's a buzzing with all these electronics. It's
there.
like the buzz that we have in around. So the salt lamp and the selenite are good for to like diminish that buzzing. And he sleeps really good for considering all the stuff that
That's around us.
exactly.
Oh, that's good to know. Wow. Thank you so much, Carla. Holy macaroni. Guys, if you want to share your story or a story of somebody close to you, put it in the comment section. Even if you are watching this on replay, we're going to read everything. And Carla, thank you so much for sharing your story.
No, thank you. Thank
And I
you.
am getting that pyramid for my daughter's room. Which
Ah,
show it
yeah,
me again
the
with
protection.
yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get that pyramid. I have to. It's gorgeous. And yeah, that's good for all for nightmares as well.
Hmm. Yeah.
I'm gonna get it. Thank you so much, Carla, for sharing your journey from the when he was a newborn till now. It's an amazing story, and you're an amazing mom, amiga Carla.
Thank you, Coco. You
Best.
too.
You're
Thank
the best. Thank you so much.
We try.
We really do. We really do. Navigating the 3D world and having our amazing magical kids, it's a hell of a job.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
a hell of a job. So before we end this show, I just wanted to do this little promo shout out that we have here at thebeyondmystic.net, the 50% off insider access pass. So you just hop on our website and put in the promo code ho 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 50, and you will get your 50% off your annual IAP membership. And as well, we have here at the Beyond Mystic Academy 50% off on all of the workshops you see on our site. So during the holidays, you're chilling. So go and do a workshop if you want to. And it's here at 50% off with promo code holidays 2025. And right here tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, it's the Beyond the News Breaking Woos with Janine and Jean Claude for IAP members. And you could watch it on the replay as a pay per view. And y'all, we are taking some time off. Yay! So we are going to be on our holiday break December 22nd until January the 4th. We'll be back with regular shows on January the 5th, and we have so much new stuff coming for 2026. I am working it backstage for y'all. So you guys are going to enjoy our 2026 year. So be there. And if you want to find Carla, go and visit her amazing site, Ascension Organized. She has her amazing holiday sale, 30% off of the entire website. And y'all, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our Rumble channel, Jean Claude at Beyond Mystic, and to our YouTube, Jean Claude Beyond Mystic 003. Thank you once again, Carla, and thank you to everybody that's here with us today. Bye.
Bye.